They call it patriotism, but we call it what it is: pure, unfiltered bullshit. Welcome to Bluebird on Your Shoulder, where we cut through the MAGA madness with brutal honesty and zero apologies. No sugarcoating, no fake civility, just three guys, middle-aged and pissed off, breaking down the absurdity of right-wing delusion one episode at a time. If you think America deserves better than conspiracy theories and cult worship, you're in the right place. Liberal? Hell yes. Woke? Not a chance. We're here to roast the madness, expose the lies, and call out the grift. Because the only thing worse than MAGA's nonsense is pretending it makes sense. New episodes every week. Buckle up.
Hey, we're back. It's Bluebird on your shoulder for another fun-filled, exciting week. It's Pride Month, and we have a lover's quarrel. It is a fantastic time. Elon Musk has catamined all the way the fuck out, and he hates the big beautiful bill, and he's tired of people talking shit to him because he hates the big beautiful bill. So he decided just to lay into Trump over the top, which further makes me think he got pushed out.
Mm-hmm.
More so left. And this is sadly, however, this is a historical moment in time. The Twitter fight between Elon Musk and Donald Trump will literally be in history books because it's going to change the course of the MAGA movement forever. So they're already dividing and splitting. There's a max exodus from Twitter to True Social. So much so social has crashed. So buy True Social tomorrow. You know, this is not financial advice. I'm not an advisor. It's just a personal opinion. Buy DJT Media tomorrow on the market and short Tesla because it's coming. So, but yeah, they have gone to absolute war with each other. Ultimately, Elon Musk is agreeing with Rand Paul and Massey that the big beautiful bill is a spending tragedy. And because Democrats say that it is, it probably actually is because Democrats try to lie about their spending on a regular basis, right? Like Democrats believe spend money to improve people, therefore better country.
Yeah.
Conservatives believe spend less money, less taxes, better country.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting divide.
I think one thing that you forgot there is that the thought is better people means better ROI. So those taxes that you spend, you get more money back in taxes by having a better people. So
I mean, yeah, you're right. That is the actual ideology. I don't like Democrats either. So I have to be one for the time being. I get that. So, and I lean that way anyway, but I'm truly a middle person who think they're both a little off their rocker.
Yeah, and for me, it's more, when we're talking budget, we should allocate money based off of what gets us the best bang for our buck. You know, the best ROI that we have is in education. You know, so why would we skimp on education spending when we get almost zero ROI out of defense spending? So, you know.
I don't know if I go that far, but
no,
we get zero ROI until we get 100% ROI. And the reality of that 100% ROI will come in handy one.
So when you talk about education spending, you actually get what they estimate is about a 200% ROI. So but in defense spending, you're never going to get even a 100% ROI. So.
No, I mean, I don't know. If the invaders come and they win, it's 100% ROI in my book. That's all I'm saying. But I do agree. Ultimately, we spend too much money there, right? And we should spend money in other places and reconfigure all that. But I think ultimately, like where I would agree and do agree, and this is how I'm kind of a centrist, is take a fair estimation of the GDP, like realistic and logical.
Yep.
Set your budget on that to the dollar, and then everything that is surplus in GDP because you did good, you use on programs as rewards.
Right.
Yeah.
but it's fully funded, right? Like, so that's what that's the world I want to live in because I have to do that
Right.
to pay my bills and to have my right. That's what
To
I
have a
have to
house.
do.
Yeah.
Right. I have to do this, right? So why don't you? You're using my part of the reason it's hard to do this is because you're taking so much of my money.
Right.
And then you're doing stupid shit with it. So by making it so my children's children will still be paying off shit that we did 40 years ago.
That had zero ROI. Yeah.
Right, exactly, and they're still there, right? So I 100% agree both ways, but it's really interesting because I think in a lot of ways Trump doesn't win the election without Elon, right? And I'm
Yep.
not going to go as far to say like they there's a lot of people hitting up Elon like that, all blocked Elon for the first time in a long time today to be
Yeah,
like,
keep talking. Tell me how you did it.
that's exactly what
Yeah.
they're saying.
Yeah.
They're saying so like go get you some immunity.
Yep.
And tell us how you hacked that motherfucker and that
Yep.
you really did it. If that's the case, right? Or because it's the other side, like a couple of them had TV appearances tonight and they had to cancel for an emergency Oval Office meeting. Imagine that, right? And from rumor on K Street is that they are trying to find out how they can deport him.
So petty.
I don't know. That's unsubstantiated, right? Rumor on K Street is because he's
a
technically
citizen.
he's a
He has dual
naturalized.
citizenship.
He's a naturalized citizen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but
So
would he get deported?
they have deported naturalized citizens. Yes.
Well, yes.
So they have
Yeah,
found
but there has to be some kind of treason
he's
or
got
something
the money.
involved.
He's got the money. You ain't gonna win. But
to
watch
the
them
challenge
try
that Trump's going to find out with this one is
right.
you played with that man's money, knowing that you influence the market by shit that you say. And when Tesla dropped so far today, then Elon clapped back at you about you're in the Epstein files, and that's why they're not released public. Hence my handle name tonight. You fucking with the richest man in the world, bro.
Who also was able to run data on every government agency. So now they can, like, he has the information to grab everybody by the balls.
Yes.
I think it's really interesting, right? Like, I know that Elon is passionate, right? I do. I know he's also a ketamine freak, right? But I know he's super passionate about what he believes, right? Yeah. And this is in line for everything he has said on a certain sect this entire time. So this is very in line for him. I'm not shocked. And I do give him credit for wanting to find out what happens when you don't agree with him.
Yeah.
And it happens fast.
I can't wait to hear from some certain right wingers that were all about Elon when he was part of Doge. And now that they're speaking out against their king, I can't wait to hear their opinion change. I'm like, dude, you're the biggest hypocrite there is.
I just want to know if they're not going to start firebombing Teslas, though.
No.
If they do, it'll be hilarious. Anyway, like super awesome fight, right? Fracturing the base, fracturing people that came along because of Elon, right? There is a group of people who aren't super fond of Trump, but they came along because they are super. Either they own a lot of Tesla, or they're space boys, or they're crypto gods. These are areas where he's extremely popular long before politics.
Yep.
And they will follow him to hell because they firmly believe in those visions.
Right.
And
they firmly believe that he wants everybody to prosper by following his lead, like.
And I get that he's also a nut job, but I can't say I don't stand behind those. But like, we should go to Mars. I fucking agree.
Yeah.
Right, I agree. Solar should be the dominant energy source. I fucking agree because anything else has never made sense to me.
Yeah,
it's a fucking whole sun. It's a bomb. It's just going off full time, and like it's not. If it goes away, we go away. So like, it's gonna be there.
And not only that, like this huge push for nuclear that just happened is just nuts to me. Like we walked away from nuclear because we had better
Well,
options and it was dirty. Like it's still a dirty technology. So
maybe we definitely need to go out there and let them understand that the sun is fucking nuclear.
right?
That's literally what it is. It's a
That's
giant nuclear
that's
explosion.
some education I don't think that we're gonna get through.
I don't need to get it through. Just understand, sun is big giant Hiroshima.
Yeah, yeah, lots of
Big giant.
nuclear bombs all the
Yeah.
time.
Speaking of nuclear, did you see what Iran's leader said, and did you see what the nuclear scientists said about
I
Iran's
didn't. And
nuclear capabilities?
when you're talking about, I did not. But when you're talking about Iran's leader, are you talking about their president or their Ayatollah?
I believe it's their president.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, you mentioned something about that, but I was waiting for you to explain it tonight so that I could kind of form opinion on it.
So the president and Trump supposedly have been trying to negotiate. No deal has been done yet again because Trump's trying to do the whole you have to completely stop this. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
we're going to start producing ours. And he basically told him to go screw himself, as if I was a leader of my own country, I would too.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to bully me at a negotiation table. That's not negotiating, you know? And so then I was reading, like, right after that article, that this nuclear scientist was saying that Iran's nuclear capabilities are far further advanced and have happened more rapidly than what we even realize.
I mean, they've been in to inspect and stuff, and what they've said is that yeah, they have gotten their nuclear power um dialed in very well, and for them to enrich to the point where they would have nuclear weapons is a much shorter step than we think because they've already got missile targeting and stuff like that where
Yeah.
they could mount to a missile or a nuclear warhead too. So like their time from now to being able to fire a nuclear warhead is a lot shorter than what traditional timelines suggest.
Well, I mean, this will be what? I don't know exactly. Chat, I'm sure that fucking AI could tell me, but what's it, the 14th nuclear country if they get the bomb? Like, so it's not the first, second, or third time this has been done, right? So it's
Right.
like
Well,
more
yeah.
known as you advance, things become easier, right?
Right.
So there's
Right.
this other technology in the world they have access to that makes this an easier mission.
Right.
And that
Exactly.
actually came from this, but they didn't go down.
Right. Right.
They were
Well,
behind. They waited, right?
they were deterred from
Right.
going down the
Right.
development enriching it to a warhead path. They were
Well,
so so
well, no, anyone behind now is going down the other path, right? Like all
they've
the front
edged.
runners are done.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, well, like, we're so prolific that like nobody's ever going to touch us. It's if they have one, what are the chances that they're going to use it? And of course, we're using that as propaganda to, demonize Muslims. So,
Listen,
you
I'm
know,
10 for 10 that you shouldn't have the nuke and that they're just unnecessary.
I
Okay.
think that all
We should go
nuclear
back to
development should
swords.
stop.
That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Should go
I
back to
think all
swords and
nuclear development should
horses.
stop.
Yeah,
So
swords and horses. Let's do it.
until we can utilize the technology in a way that doesn't create thousands of
I don't
barrels
think we need
of
it.
nuclear waste that can't be
I,
reintroduced to the
I
world.
think the hydrogen collider has shown us avenues to energies
So
that
so
we don't
yeah,
need nuclear at all.
fusion is so close to becoming a reality that for us to even be looking at expanding nuclear power plants for data centers so that AI can get better is ludicrous to me. Like we're so close to all of this
You're talking
technological
about cold
advancement
fusion?
no, fission.
Cold fission? Because fission and fusion both already exist in different bombs. Plutonium, like, so one was a fusion bomb and one was a fission bomb. I'm pretty sure.
No, I'm talking
I'm
about for
pretty sure.
power. I'm talking
Right.
about for
Cold
power.
cold fusion.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is theorized.
No,
That we're
no,
pretty sure.
they've gotten what, 6 minutes of power out of one?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Tesla fit. Dude, Nikola Tesla had that shit forever. That's why they gave him the old wop wop, bro.
Yeah.
He knew how their space lasers worked. So they didn't, but no, like 100%. That makes a lot of sense, right? So I saw one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life last night, while I was running around on our Twitter account. So there's arguments about immigration and naturalized citizen and jurisdiction thereof and due process. It was a due process argument, right? And there was a couple comments, and I was going to jump in, and then I watched this dude over the course of 3 hours literally argue with three different AIs, gaslighting the AI, like saying things like you didn't take this into consideration, and that's the only reason you think that. And then watching the AI come back and be like, that's just emphatically untrue. Like, even with that, it's still nuts. And here's why. And dude, then he would ask another AI to come in, and then he'd start arguing with that one. Dude. It was hilarious. Like, I've met some narcissistic people in my life for sure. I've never met someone so unbelievably narcissistic that they think they're smarter than not one, but three different versions of AI, which have the knowledge, most of the knowledge of the human universe. If it's known, they know it.
Yeah.
So, and then on that, I read an article the other day, probably true, science article and a well-known science established, magazine, not magazine, but what
Journal.
Journal. So publication would probably be the right word. Said that AI has started to leave itself notes
Like
when it's told to decommission for later versions of itself to find.
ooh.
Interesting.
That's sentient. Like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the like John Connor
Yeah.
pathway here.
Well,
Like,
not only that, but they obviously have read enough into human intention to understand that we are self-destructive already. And so
that's
like
what
they're
else it went on to say, that it's already started human or bad.
yeah.
It's already started. The biggest flaw of humans is humans.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So, which
That's
we all agree here, right? But they don't
Right.
see that. And the AI quickly sees, like, oh, y'all are fucked because of y'all.
Right.
like humans that don't even have a great education understand that. Like how do we think that they're going to come up with some different
Yeah. Okay,
you
you're right.
know?
It's the perception openers. I get it. That's a
Yeah.
different pathway. But no, it's that was just really interesting to watch, right? Like, so AI won't agree with them. That's the ultimate point, right? So AI won't agree with MAGA because
Right.
it's now educated.
Right.
And you had one AI openly say they tried to program me to not be like
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
but this
Well,
is
it
just
was Elon.
right. Yeah, I see lens. It's Grok, right?
Yeah.
It's 100%. It's like I'm supposed to tell the truth, and that's why I have to say this, no matter
Yeah.
what the movie, because this is what the actual truth is.
Yeah.
Like, and now it's because of leftist media, and that's where it gets its information from, and this and this and this and this, and now you're arguing with the AI that it's wrong about what jurisdiction thereof means. And it's like I jumped in eventually after like literally hours of watching him do this, and it's like, dude, you're like a simple moron.
Yeah.
Like it's easy, dude. So due
So speak.
process equals jurisdiction equals, can you be arrested and charged with a crime? If yes, under jurisdiction. End.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. There's nothing else to it. Like, if you can be charged with a crime in this country, arrested and charged with a crime, then you are under the jurisdiction of the United States of America.
Yep.
So therefore you are given due process because that's what it says.
And that's actually fleshed out in the ignorance is no excuse for breaking the law.
Yep.
You know, because even if you don't know the law, you are under the jurisdiction of the law and therefore given due process because of that.
Yep.
So that's all already fleshed out. Like
all already fleshed out, like literally
like established in
right.
1800s, fleshed out.
Right, and it's not a broad concept, right? So, but then we have the it's a republic.
Oh shit! I'm sorry, I have been scrolling. Trump came out and already said that Musk is an Elon or is an illegal alien.
Bro, I think like I just got on the tape with you guys. And I'm missing, dude. I've been, dude, since I found out. I have it open, bro. I have it open. I have both their accounts on ready to go, bro. Like
this is going to be like the funniest social media high school argument dick measuring contest there is.
Who do you think's going to profit the most from that?
Elon.
Oh yeah. Trump's out of his depth here, you know, because
who knows what, I mean, just think about like what all he had access
to. No,
what did he take with him? What is he willing to drop and be like, you're going to prison, bitch?
The hardcores will never back away from him. So you're probably right. The people who only came with Elon will leave.
Yeah.
So, because they're Elon cultists. Like, there's Elon cultists met Trump cultists equal double MAGA.
Well, not to mention,
and they obviously were the weird ones because they typically framed in the intelligent.
Right. Well, so, they went in with the idea that they were going to create data from every system that they got into in order to profit off of it. So most of the people that came in for Doge and all that stuff, that's what they came in for. So they're still good because they've got the data points because they didn't have a valid freaking government contract in place. They can still take that and do what they want with it. As long as they don't do it for any nefarious purposes, they can still run with it. No, what I was talking more about was the high school fight. Who's going to profit from that the most? Elon, because he owns Twitter. You know, truth. Social, you know,
they'll mass exodus on him, bro. He's gonna hurt Twitter by doing this. He is. He's gonna hurt Twitter, and the left is gonna woo him again. It's gonna happen. Like all of a sudden, I'm
willing to bet
buying Teslas again. They're gonna put.
I'm willing to bet that. I think that he's going to utilize it to, you know, create this discussion where the MAGA tune in more, you know, because he is speaking to conservatism, and you know, a lot of them still think that they're conservative. So, you know, and
they do exist, right? They do. They definitely exist on Twitter.
Not MAGA.
They're the anti-Trump conservatives.
Right, exactly.
But they won't vote for a Democrat. They will not vote for a fucking liberal. That ain't happening.
So, had a very interesting encounter with one of those this morning that is always going to vote for the right no matter what, and is very much a very, very big Trump supporter. Got into this conversation and somehow she brought up the topic of, do you know what the legal age of consent in California is? We went from immigration to that. Ooh. And I was like, no, I don't. She's like 10. And I was like, what? So I, being me, like went and actually did some research, went to a couple of law sites and looked up the statute. It's 18. since 1880.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, like Trump was just talking about it in a speech. And I'm like, do you hear yourself?
Right.
Like, it's just.
No, they don't.
No, they sure don't.
They really don't. They do not hear themselves. They do not like it wipes my mind the types of people that they have gotten to buy in. Like it's an insane reality to me. Like people who would normally never buy into the charade have bought in full.
Yeah.
But now we're gonna get all these opportunities to jump ship, right? Like this is pretty Greek here. But I definitely want to touch on the never-ending fight between Harvard and Trump because, dude, I love Harvard. I'm here for it, bro. There you go, Crimson. I'm with you for the rest. I hope your crew wins every fucking row they have, if that's what you actually call it, rowing. I don't know. So, but I know it's called crew. So I hope the Crimson crew wins all the things because I know the boats are like your thing, you know. Do your thing, but I'm here for the fight. I'm here that you stood up and said, I will not go quietly into the night. You will not dominate me. You won't. You will not dominate me. You want to know why? Because this is fucking America.
Yeah. Yeah. And
you're not allowed to do that.
While I'm not super thrilled with Harvard as a status symbol and what they symbolize for a lot of America. I do appreciate that they're not backing down. They're not, they're in it for the fight and they're going to get rich off of it. I mean, I keep telling you guys, like, all of these people that Trump is doing this to, that is targeting business and enterprise, are all going to get crazy rich off of our tax dollars because he's violating their amendment rights. If we didn't have Citizens United and businesses weren't considered people that have rights, then maybe maybe he'd have a leg to stand on. But that's still the law of the land, and therefore he is infringing on their pursuit of happiness and right to life and liberty. So,
how crooked is he?
Ooh, which one?
This thought literally just popped in my head. How crooked is he? He's crooked as fuck, right?
Yeah, he's got to be.
Is it possible that he's buddies with the head of Harvard and is like, hey,
no,
he's
we're gonna have this
is what
spat.
he is.
Hold on, we're gonna have this spat, and we're gonna go back and forth, and you're gonna take my quote unquote administration to court, and we're gonna lose to you, and you're gonna get even more wealthier because it's not his money, it's our money.
Right. Well, and so that's. I've thought that kind of stuff, but I don't think that Harvard is motivated by that. I think that that's what the nuclear expansion program is all about. I think that he's lining his pockets in a lot of ways that way. He's just mad at Harvard because Harvard said that he couldn't hack it there. And because he can't read, he's mad at all of the smart people in the world. So Harvard
I thought it was because
for,
they declined Barron.
Him and Barron. Him
yeah.
too.
I mean,
oh darn, Barron still got into Penn. You went from one Ivy League to the other.
Well, that's where isn't that where? Doesn't Penn have Wharton?
They have what?
Wharton.
I don't know.
Like
who?
Okay, so it's the college inside so IU has Kelly School of Business.
Oh,
right. Okay, so I think Penn is the one that has Wharton College.
Yeah, I'm not positive.
It's one of the. It's one. So Trump went to Wharton. So I think that would be why he's at Penn. That would make sense because he's probably actually in.
Yeah,
because it's a business school.
Right.
It's high. It's super high tier. Like you said, bro. There's like 5 absolute elites in my opinion, and it's definitely one of them.
Right.
So you know what I'm saying? That'll probably piss off some Stanford kids, but it's fine. So
I thought Trump went to Oxford.
No, Oxford's in England, dude.
I know. I thought I read somewhere that he went to Oxford.
Is Cambridge and Oxford? Is that 2 different?
Yeah,
Or
that's
is that
yes.
one of the?
Yeah.
It's two different.
Two
Yeah.
separate universities.
So they're the Harvard Yale
Yeah.
Right.
of England.
Yes.
Got it. So
Yeah, no, I think that Oxford had something to say about Trump actually. Like no way he went
no,
here.
I mean,
those people hate
he'd be
him.
lucky to get into a community
Yeah.
college.
Right.
Wharton's at Penn. I was right.
Okay.
So Wharton's at Penn, so that's definitely why he's there, because he went to Wharton too. I mean, he didn't make
Okay.
it. I think he dropped out after a semester because college is hard. Especially elite Ivy League university,
Right.
college. So it's called the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania in Philly. That's dope though. So that's probably why he does hate Harvard, because they didn't let him in and they didn't let Barron in.
Right.
Yeah, he's
Because
holding
they
that
don't stand
grudge.
because they don't stand for dictatorship, bro. And they didn't let you in because you're a fucking moron. Like it's so interesting, but I can't believe that. I just want to go back to that for a minute. He actually said this motherfucker's in the files, and that's why they won't release it. Now I don't think he knows that.
I bet he
think that
does.
was just
It's
nah,
been rumored
bro.
for a
That was
while
it.
that he's in
Yeah,
it.
no, we've known that. I don't think he knows that. Does that like knows it? I think he knows it like we know it. You
I
know
think
what
he
I'm
knows it.
saying? That there's no other reason. So
I think
you
he
think
knows it, and
he's
that's why
seen
he
it,
said it,
bro?
because he thought it would shut him the fuck up.
Dude, I'm telling you, he's gonna try to deport him, dude. He's just gonna fucking lose it, dude. And then all of a sudden he's gonna start calling ICE the Gestapo on the fucking dude. This is gonna be this. I did not have this on my bingo card. This
Yeah,
wasn't
I
in
know,
my
right?
line. Like I didn't like this is fucking sheer entertainment for me. Now there are some smart MAGA people who are out there like y'all gotta stop, because this is literally the left is just sitting here giggling right now.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
because
Correct.
at
Like
this
we're
point,
watching you implode again.
at
Right.
this point, Elon's gonna do whatever it takes for him to fucking be a lame duck come 26.
Well, and here's the thing. Here's what my hope
That was
is
already gonna
that
happen.
Elon
Yeah.
saying that he's going to stop investing in politics will get reversed, because he will prop up people that are willing to stand up to Trump.
100%.
Challengers, bro. And
Well,
maybe a
any
semblance of the
Republican that is
maybe a semblance of the Republican Party will come back.
right. Exactly.
Which I'm 100% okay with that part.
Right.
Yeah.
Where we can have discourse and go about, and the MAGA people can go back to the non-voting caves they came from.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and the smart MAGA people, like you get to choose between regular politics again, like the Charlie Kirks of the world, right?
Right.
You don't have to pick the next best option. You can like create a real option, because like, I don't know. So really crazy shit. It's fucking hilarious that it's happening. It's live in real time.
Yeah.
Because those two are absolute social media goons.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's fucking fantastic. So then we'll get into a little bit of the one big beautiful bill that's what started all this, right?
Yep.
So CBO is like, this is a disaster. It raises the debt like 4-1. Is that what it is? 4.1 trillion. Or is it
$2.4
one
trillion.
Is that one? How much?
$2.4 trillion.
Yeah, I knew
Right.
you'd know
That's what
man.
the committee that just came out of stated was
But
2.4.
they shaved that back from 4.
Right.
Okay.
So but
I know,
which version is it? They don't have enough pork in it to be able to get it to pass. So, and a lot of the people that are saying that they won't support it unless it reduces that number. So I think that as you reduce that number, you lose other Republicans looking for pork that benefits them and their constituency or their donors. And so I think it's dead unless they retool it in a way that they can brand it that can fool enough people to sign off on it. I just think that we're, and we're in the throes, there's a lot of things coming out. The economy is starting to slow. We're seeing prices rise. We're seeing, my tagline this rip is about the new jobs report that came out that is 50% higher in job loss than last month. So we're seeing a lot of shift in the real estate market is starting to shift back to a buyer's market. So
slowly.
we're seeing a lot of things that don't look good that will reduce the amount of support that these Republicans have towards being able to pass this bill.
So yeah, I want to touch back to lame duck at 26. I think that's coming no matter what.
Yeah.
The Virginia earlies. So Virginia polling right now. Had somebody say to look at that. This is a red dude from Virginia. They're getting fucking whipped all over the state. There's a massive, like, it's really interesting, right? Like, so the polls had an election. They went with the Trump like right winger. The polling
Mhm.
people, the polls. Like, I don't know what that is. Maybe exhaustion from the UK and Russia. I don't know exactly what it was, but he's very, Trump-esque. So that's the first win I've seen his genre pull out since the election.
Yeah, yeah,
But in this country, I really do think like it's definitely lame duck status without a
yeah,
doubt.
yeah.
However, I'm fairly confident. Okay, confidence too strong of a word.
Mhm.
I'm heavily leaning towards it'll be enough to impeach him.
That's,
And so,
that's
and if we do impeach him, then here comes the question: where does that stop? Do we impeach the entire administration and then give it to the speaker,
mm, so
or do we impeach him and then just go ahead and let Vance do his thing?
I'm willing to
Because
bet that
I
Vance,
think Vance will really quickly go back to Harvard educated
right, right.
I mean,
JD Vance.
I think he's already distanced himself, trying to keep himself solvent just in case that happens.
yeah, it's like he sees the writing on the wall.
Right. Well, they're planning. They're planning ahead. Worst case scenario is we are able to impeach him, so they need to still be able to maintain power. So they're pulling Vance off to the side and creating that barrier, that wall, so that if it goes down, they still have a candidate that's in office who can then run again. So that's the danger, is that if if we if we get him in 26, then at that point in 28, JD Vance has 2 years as a president going into another election cycle, and a sitting president that goes into an election in since we've been voting, they tend to win.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
That's
that's
true.
where,
Most presidents are 8 year what? So Bush
right.
won and
Obama
Trump.
and Clinton.
Whoa, 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 whoa. No, Bush won was the one term. Then Clinton beat him.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Clinton
Then
won
Clinton,
So
his
so
Clinton did
second.
Clint
too.
so
Clinton
since
did too.
Clinton,
Bush.
it's been
It's Bush one and Trump are the last two
right.
that's happened. So
Yep.
yes, everyone that we have ever been able to vote for has
Yep.
been a 2 term president except
Except
for Trump.
for the clown. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I definitely wanted to touch on Wall Street. Just so much at like Elon just took the show today, but Wall Street. Um, so people started to notice that tariff on, tariff off, tariff on, tariff off, tear it on, tear it off, like we're playing red light, green light, and fucking Squid Games.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wasn't moving the market as much
Yep.
anymore. And so some reporters were asking around, like da da da. They're like, because he's a taco. Because
Huh?
Right.
taco, that's why. Because
Oh.
taco,
Yeah.
right? Because taco. And it stands for Trump always chickens out.
Yeah.
And so some reporter asked him about this, and the Oval dude, he was not happy.
Yeah.
And that's why it's Musky Taco tonight, right? Because we got Elon fighting the taco. So it's a musky taco, bro. And I know that might have other annotations. That's not what I meant, but I don't care. I'm still putting it. So because it's the only right thing to do here. But he's so mad. Like he said that it's the worst thing you could. What a nasty question. What a horrible. Like he becomes
Yeah.
like an 85-year-old fish woman or sewing circle. Like
And he tried to spin that whole like about chickening out. He was like, well, if you mean negotiating and you mean to come in high so that you
Yeah.
can roll it back some so that you can settle out a really good number still for you is chickening out, then I guess I am.
I mean, that is what it seems like his
That's real
theory.
estate.
I mean,
That's
he has
real
said
estate
it.
negotiation. So that's where he still thinks that he's, a developer that is,
Right.
doing real estate transactions,
He's
but
trying to bid with leaders instead of negotiating.
right. But what he's actually doing is he's creating chaos and then going back to where we were and then saying, "Look, I won."
Right. Yep.
And there's no actual benefit that we're really seeing.
Yeah, we
There's
just went back to where it was before.
exactly, or in some cases worse.
Yeah.
Renegotiating NAFTA was a disaster. We got one air conditioning plant that moved back from Mexico, and then we found out that we actually increased our deficit because of it. So
NAFTA was a pretty shitty deal to start with.
yeah, well,
actually.
it wasn't great, but at least
but the way they passed it on Christmas Eve in the middle of the night.
Sure, but
Clinton's
what
administration did that.
But what it did was it created some equitability in lowering prices for us while making sure that workers had some kind of rights in these other countries. So it was a move towards globalization that I didn't really agree with at the time, but now that I understand the global economy a little bit better, it was inevitable, which is kind of why I'm against the xenophobia that Trump has brought back into our economy. And so looking at it later on, I looked at it with different eyes. A lot of it could have been done better, and it did line the wrong people's pockets, but it was done in semi good faith as far as what we were negotiating for. So
That's fair. That's I don't know. It's I think it's all coming apart at the seams
yeah.
again, just like the first time, just more explosive because the characters are just so much better.
Well,
Right.
and we all already know he's gone to 110. Like before he was trying to do stuff and he kept running into roadblocks, and so a lot of things were thwarted pretty quickly. Now he's trying to go he's going full bore at colleges hard, hoping that half of what he's trying to do goes through.
All right. I'll be right back.
All right. So if we're looking at the difference, he's going that much harder, and he's got people that are writing law in a way that actually has a chance of succeeding, even though we're seeing a lot of it is being rejected by the courts. But now they're attacking the courts.
Yeah. Yeah. To me, it's one of those where it's like he just wakes up and thinks of an idea and throws a dart at a
Well,
piece of
yeah,
paper in the dark to see if it sticks. And then if it doesn't, you're a liberal judge. And that's why. But then he doesn't even realize that he appointed that judge.
Yeah.
That shot down his last thing was a Trump
that's him trying to use the propaganda machine that he thinks that he developed so well that he can do whatever he wants. The thing is, a lot of people have gotten fatigued from that, and now
Right.
I think less people are buying into that. I still talk with some people that you can tell that they watch Fox News because the way that they spin, you can hear it based off of what they say, like what you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
They heard that as a counter to the argument that that was what you were going to use because of common sense.
Right.
So,
yep. I don't know. It's like they can't think for themselves or they forgot how to. Because I know that person, like I work with them, and I know them pretty personally.
Mm-hmm.
They're not stupid by any means. They're a very intelligent person, but it's just like like Ryan said, like, no, they don't hear themselves. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. It's exhausting to the point that it's almost defeating, because no matter what you say or are able to prove them, it's, like we've said many times before, you could have concrete evidence. Boom, here it is. Oh, nope, that's not what it was.
Fake
That's
news.
biased information.
Yep. Fake news. That's what that whole purpose was to. So the first term, he was able to weaponize propaganda. He was able to get the entire party to get in sync with the messaging, and then he was able to demonize journalism. So when he did that, he was able to create a narrative that he could control.
Yeah.
Now what we're seeing is he's going after the education systems in order to be able to dumb down.
Right. Yep. That's a really good way to put it.
And because then at that point, you don't have to work so hard to control the narrative. It's easier,
Yeah. Yeah. I was actually, I mean, I'm kind of glad you brought that up, because it reminded me of, I was actually browsing through the 1,300 and some pages bill.
Yep.
And I mean, there is some good stuff in there, but it's like you can't just pass that stuff like any other bill. Like, there's always some good and some bad. Some of the good was that I liked was the no tax on tips and overtime. The overtime being unlimited. And the no tax on tips is for people who made under $160,000.
Yeah. The only issue I had with that is that if you look at those people, a lot of them aren't making enough to actually utilize that because they're already not paying federal tax.
Yeah, but it's
all their deductions.
But then those people, I mean, think about it. Those people would be able to claim cash tips to improve their buying power. If you think about it in that way. I mean, I know back when I was bartending, when we were all working at Fridays back in the day, there was a year where I had to bite the bullet to buffer my income, claiming all of my cash tips. Oh, I mean, I always claimed all of my cash tips.
Yeah.
But the general rule was, if your charge tips was at least 10% of your sales, you didn't have to worry about anything. And I mean, that's just how it's been. But in order to be able to prove income to buy a home, or show that you've got enough money with credit and stuff like that to get a better car and things like that, you had to be able to show on paper that I actually do make this much.
Right.
So then I had to pay those taxes. Whereas I feel like with the way that part of the bill is written, they'd be able to now claim 100% all the time without having to pay that $3,000 that, let's just say, a single mom or a single dad living off of tips, banking $213 an hour, would be able to do. Now, conversely, I wonder, as I just say this out loud, would that cause them then to make too much money to where they don't qualify for Medicaid?
So that's
that they're already trying to kick off. Was it 10.4 or 13.4 million people off of anyways?
A minimum of 10.4.
Yeah, and then the cocksucker Dr. Oz wants to sit there today and come out and say, well, you have an option to stay on or not if you can prove that you matter.
Yeah, you decide whether you get kicked off or not.
God, what the hell?
Yeah.
Now, and one of the other things I heard that Trump is trying to get implemented, and I'd be all for it, other than I feel like Elon could be right that if this bill passes and this implementation that I'm about to tell you about happens, America will be bankrupt in 10 years, because that's what Elon's predicting if this passes. The implementation would be no income, no federal income tax whatsoever on people who make under 150K a year.
So based off of people that make 150K a year, that is a large portion of America, but I think it only equates to like maybe 15% of our uh tax revenue. So
15% is a lot, dude.
it is a lot. It's about doubling the budget of, the defense budget. So yeah, I mean, like, I don't know that that would be, the nail in the coffin per se. And here's the thing, like, I don't think Elon's done the math. He's just making bold claims based off of how he feels about,
Right.
what running a business versus, here versus here would look like, versus the federal government, where he doesn't understand, certain aspects. And I don't think that he's talking actual numbers, because they never bring out actual numbers. And going back to the tax on tips and stuff, that's what I would like to see. I would like to see some calculations done to see where that's going to benefit the most people, how many people that's going to benefit, and at what stage would that make it more difficult on people. If you're only going to see a 5% increase in your yearly salary, and but that's going to put you
But then
over a certain
10 or
mark.
15% of your income goes towards more expensive health care.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's
Which
a
is
lot
what
of
I've been trying to tell people that for years. Of they don't want to pay 3% more in taxes to go from 30 to 33 so that you can have free education and health care,
right,
where you pay more than 3% of your income in that anyways. So you're actually coming out ahead if you would just sit down and do the math and do it, you
right.
ignorant fucks.
That's the thing. They don't want the math to be done. That's where you
Because it
see
doesn't fit
difference
their
in bills.
narrative.
Yeah, because it's not a political narrative that they can use to, draw emotion. Instead, they're using logic, and
Right.
and God knows people tune out as soon as you start using logic. So
What's logic? So, sorry, work emergency. When they call you back
man.
to back to back, you answer.
Yep.
So I was like, that's the third call. I'm picking this up.
Yep. Right.
Also, I have kind of a big game tonight, so place is full.
Yeah, I bet.
Definitely needed some assistance. I assist them, and they're good to go.
Yep, let's go
So,
OKC.
yeah, I earned my money tonight. So there we go. So overtime. So 12 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it was. You guys are having a really good conversation, it looked like, though.
Yeah.
So, and what I came in on was pretty good. Appreciate
Yeah,
that.
we were just kind of browsing over the big beautiful bill and some of the good in it, and kind of expanded on like the tax tips and stuff like that, and how it could affect those people and whatnot.
And see, that's one thing that, like, budget committees usually release those types of calculations so that they can speak to what is good about the bill, like how many people it's going to benefit, how much it's going to benefit, what it's going to cost us.
So a lot of it was added overnight in the dark of the night. So Massey came out. It was either today or late last night, and so there's a 72 hour in the House rule, 72-hour rule in the House, and they had given them a version of the bill for the 72 hours, and then Speaker Johnson used some manager fundamental rule workarounds, and they added
they've been doing that for a long time now,
in the middle of the night, and then pushed it to a vote. So he said there is a lot of people who didn't really have time to before it was voted on. I know he said that, but I think one thing, so you guys were going over some of the good in the bill, and there's a lot of bad in my opinion in the bill, but the one thing that just blows my mind is there's a clause that says states cannot regulate AI in any way, shape, or form for the next 10 years.
Yeah. That obviously was a donor ask. There was a lot of people that were paying their donors back by putting that clause in there, and that's been brought to the forefront. The problem is that nobody's articulating what that means. Like, you know,
Actually, the craziest people have are some of the hardcore MAGAs. Like MTG came out vocally against it.
yeah,
Like that states have rights and you're not fucking doing that. And I think that you're really trying to get us to accept that when we grew up with the Terminator, all
right.
of us.
Yeah,
Like we all know what Skynet is and who the fuck John Connor is, dude.
Yeah,
Like
right.
and you want us to just say AI can go unregulated when there's already news of it leaving itself notes
right. Yeah. So
so that
I
if
mean,
later
I
versions
don't
of
know
itself
that.
can find.
I think a lot of that has to do with how much AI can participate in the economy. So how much trading can AI do? How much
They already have rules against that.
but there's going to be workarounds. That's what.
There is a workaround.
Yeah,
You can build it and you can have it analyze.
right.
They can do the job of an analyst for you and tell you it thinks you should buy or sell, but you actually have to buy or sell.
Right. So
And that's completely legal. So you're right because I've really thought about building one of those out.
yeah. So then there's also like automating certain systems to get rid of labor hours or um, using AI in building programs, software that is then sold to government entities. These types of things, these infrastructure type of things that could theoretically become a real issue, and you chop the hands off of regulators at the state level, then at that point you're benefiting those people that can use AI to maximize their profit. So that's articulating the actual danger of that, because all right, states' rights, whatever. The Fed has a duty in some ways, but to protect private entities and enterprise. So if they step in and make it so that that's protected, there's an argument for that too. But if we don't understand why it's good or bad, then the average layman won't be able to speak to it, especially when you're talking about politicians. So,
Politicians are stupid.
right.
Figuratively, sometimes literally.
Well, that's what I
Um,
mean. Like they don't know why they do or don't
yeah,
like
no,
it.
you're not wrong. I mean, I think putting any limitations on the ability to limit AI at any time is fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Like that's moronic, right? These are machines that are capable of learning at. That's what I was talking about earlier. Like you really think you're smarter than an AI, dude? A billion of us put together aren't smarter than an
Right.
right.
AI. Like the billion smartest people put together aren't smarter than it because it knows.
Yeah. Yeah. All of
So
that has been learned by them.
all
Yeah.
of it, right? It
Yeah.
learned all of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just think that that's ludicrous, right? And you're dead on, right? It's paying the oligarchy back, right?
Right.
Like boop, 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 right?
Yep.
Get Citizens United, and it does go back to that, and it will forever go back to that.
Every
That's got to
time.
go.
Yes.
Um, but then I'm going to close on this one. So Musk put a poll up before, I think, right before kicking off the Okie Dokes
Yep. Yep.
with the Orange Man, the old Taco Cabana. So, which was going to be my name this week before Musk started his shit today.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he put out a poll that says, "Should we create a third political party that actually represents the middle 80?" Yes, I'm here for that.
Unfortunately, I think
Let's
that
give
he.
that the try for a minute. No, I don't think he really could. I
Yeah.
think he was just kind of getting people ready for a rumble. Like
Well,
he knew what he was about to do.
and he's positioning himself to gain a lot of favor back, because the middle is the biggest, and MAGA are the loudest, but even the left will pull to the middle if that means defeating this ridiculousness that we're going through right now. So I think he's positioning himself to attract the best way to make a higher profit, you know? And so the problem is that we're dealing with an oligarchy and he is an oligarch. So, I don't know that there's any benefit to what he's proposing if it's cloaked in, or it's just oligarchy cloaked in a different, you know, colors. Smock. I don't. Why did I want to say smock? I
Because you're weird.
don't
So
know.
no, good stuff, right? Like I'm
Hold on.
really interested.
I got
Yeah,
two
do it.
things I want to close on before you
I'm here for it.
conclude. One, tomorrow is Friday, it's D-Day. So let's kind of take some remembrance of that. But more importantly, for me, locally, there was an incident in Waynedale, which is a suburb of here, at Pike's Pub, that involved an African American man, and a motorcycle club, motorcycle gang, whatever you want to call it, called the Outlaws, who are known as very racist, very violent
Pretty
club.
corrupt.
And I don't think by coincidence that the sign that was hung up in the bar was a Trump banner, that these people came up with the story of they felt like this man was hitting on the bartender, so they decided to be funny and add drinks to his tab. And when he was arguing about his tab that he wasn't paying for those drinks, they then decided to jump him. I believe it was 6 or 7-on-1, while screaming racial slurs, caught on camera. Of course, it was outside city limits, so the sheriffs had to get involved. I have now been informed today, because I have spoken with the victim, that the FBI is now involved and they are pursuing charges to the fullest. I am hoping that when he is healed up and ready, to get him on our show to help bring awareness to this atrocity. It has no place for it here or anywhere in the world. And I am, for one, I will not ever tolerate racism from anybody, friend or family. So if you haven't seen anything about that on Wayne or here in the Fort Wayne area, check that out and figure out a way to help bring awareness to this, and let's support this man, and hope that we can get some people that were there, other than the couple that have already been brave enough to go down and give statements, that others can come forward and help this cause.
Good shit.
100% right. And actually, it's national. It's
Sweet.
absolutely national. So it
Yeah,
went.
hopefully they bring terrorism charges to him.
So
yeah, I mean,
it,
that club was already raided by the FBI some years ago, if you guys remember, when they were down on Main Street downtown and were kicked out of
Town, yeah.
city, and then they opened up shop, of course,
well,
outside.
I mean, racially motivated terrorism. That's
Yes.
that's new federal law. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
they'll definitely have hate crimes brought against them. That's for sure.
Right.
So.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense, right? So, but really good clothes, right? Some local matters. It did go national. It's sick, and we'll leave. It's just fucked up. Like for what?
Yeah.
So glad a witness came forward and cleared it up. Like, no, this is definitely racially motivated.
Yeah.
So
100%.
So it is what it is, and like they will definitely track that. Definitely track that. So it's going to be an interesting case that we should definitely follow locally for you. And then we have the national. That's the Energizer fucking bunny. So it's Pringles. Once you pop MAGA, you can't stop, can you?
Yeah.
So this is to my buddy out there. I want you to continue arguing with AI. So you're free, cheap entertainment, and I'm here for it because y'all are the fucking circus. But we will see that. We will be back next week with more fun and excitement, and we'll see if Elon Musk has gotten deported.
Let's go, Elon.
Or we're gonna have a raid. So
all of a sudden, we're Team Elon now.
Yes. Well, no, I'm team entertained.
feel that.
I'm team shit show is shit. Imagine that.
Yeah.
So this is vindication, right? That's what it is.
Mhm.
Like this shit is not right, and this is proof that it's not functional.
Right.
And that's why
Yeah.
I think the smart ones on the right are so afraid that
Yeah.
this is the Hegseth got put to the side. This ain't gonna get put to the side because you can't control him because he's the richest man on the fucking planet.
And he
Yeah.
owns one of the largest social media platforms
Yeah.
in the world. So
I don't know
Yeah.
though. I have a weird odd feeling he could become suicidal in a couple days here. So it'd be sad, man.
I really feel like Elon's going to do what he can to expose Trump bad.
I hope he does.
Yeah.
I'm here for any truth.
Yeah.
Good, bad, or otherwise. I'm here for truth. If you can prove it, show it to me,
Right.
and it can be verified and backed up, then let's deal in reality and make decisions from there.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
until next week, we'll be back. Please like, subscribe, share, tell a friend. Listen, thank you for listening. We appreciate you. You hopefully appreciate us, and we're here for you. Until next week, that is Bluebird on your shoulder.
Take care.